If you are an experienced professional who moved to Canada, or even you have been here all through your life and recently hit a wall, you have probably felt this. You apply, you are qualified, sometimes overqualified, you get to the interview, answer all the questions well, and then nothing. Or worse, sometimes you receive feedback that doesn't make sense. We have moved with another candidate who seems to be a better cultural fit. Or we have chosen a candidate who has more local experience. And what is worse is that people who do get hired are not more qualified than you. Sometimes they are younger with even thinner resumes. So, what's happening? Here is what most people assume. I need to network more. I need to tweak my resume better. Maybe I need to do some Canadian certifications. All these things will help. But they are not the reason you are invisible. The reason is something deeper. And if you don't understand this, you will continue to do the same things and eventually get the same results. Now I'm going to tell you something that nobody wants to say out loud. Canada is not choosing the best people. It is picking the safest people. And the more experienced you are, the less safe you look. Let me be clear about what I mean by safe. By safe, I mean predictable, easy to place, easy to explain to a committee, easy to onboard without friction. When you are early in your career, safety is all about checking boxes. Do you have a degree? Check. Do you have 2 years of experience working on this tool? Check. Great. Low risk. But when you are senior, safety is about something else completely. It is about legibility. Can an employer look at you and immediately understand where you fit? Can they explain you to their boss in a single sentence? Can they imagine you in that role without having to do any mental work? And this is where your experience starts working against you. Because the more you have done, the harder it is to summarize you. The more countries you have worked in, the less you look like a typical candidate. And the more senior you are, the more expensive you seem. And more a company worries, what if you don't fit? What if you get bored? Or what if you expect things they cannot provide? And the most experienced candidates, especially those who have worked internationally or across industries or at higher levels, keep signaling depth. They keep trying to prove how much they know when what the market is actually asking is, can I trust you and your experience not to be a problem? And that's what this video is about. The power, the risk, and the trust that actually operates in the Canadian job market, and why being smart and experienced can actually make you less visible and not more. Canada is a deeply risk-averse hiring market, and fundamentally in a way that changes the way decisions are made. In a market like US, you are being evaluated on your potential upside. Can this person solve our problem? Can this person deliver value quickly? And the way they think about it is, if we are wrong, we'll fix it. But if we are right, the payoff is big. Canada doesn't work like that. Canadian hiring, especially at senior levels, is not about maximizing upside. It is about minimizing the downside. What does that mean in practice? What it means is, hiring committees in Canada do not ask who is the best person for this job. They ask, who is the person least likely to be a problem? A problem not in terms of competence, but problem in terms of not fitting in, hard to onboard, expect things we cannot provide, or somebody who's difficult for us to explain to our HR, to our leadership, or to our board. This is structural. And what it means is that the currency of hiring in Canada is not talent, it is trust. And trust in a risk-averse market comes from familiarity. Now let's talk about what familiarity looks like. Familiarity is the hiring manager recognizing the name of the school you went to. They have heard of the company you have been working with. You have the same job title they are hiring for. Familiarity is when someone looks at your resume and they don't have to think. They automatically know where you fit. But if you have worked internationally, you might not have that. If you have worked in emerging markets or in various different industries at various higher levels, you definitely don't have that. That diversity of experience might be an asset in another country, but in Canada, that becomes a translation problem. And that translation problem doesn't get solved in your favor. It gets solved by moving on to the next candidate. Because this is what happens in the mind of the hiring manager when they look at your resume. Interesting experience and background, but I don't know. Will they fit in? Would the team be able to gel with them? How do I put this in front of my boss? What if they expect more than what we are able to offer? That cognitive load to imagine you in that role is what kills your chances. So the question is not, how do I prove that I'm qualified? The question is, how do I become easy to place? So why this experience works against you? Early in your career, it's easy. You have 2 years of experience of that tool, 3 years of a function. You are junior, so you don't have much of expectations. You are not going to challenge or question the way things work. Easy. But the senior you become, the complex that picture becomes. You have handled budgets. You have managed teams. You have worked across countries or across company cultures. You understand how things work and do not work. You have expectations and opinions. And all of that makes you harder to hire. Here is why. When a company hires a junior person, they're hiring for capacity to work. Can they do the work? Great. But when they are hiring a senior resource, they are hiring judgment. And they are also hiring predictability. And judgment is, by definition, hard to evaluate before someone is in the role. So what they do? They pattern match. They try to see if you have done the exact same thing in an exact same company setup, in an exact same country or city environment. If you have, great. But if you do not, if you are somebody who has worked across borders, across industries, across functions, they are unable to pattern match. That pattern is missing. And that's why it gets difficult for them to predict. Even though it's not a sign of incompetence, but for them, it's not possible to predict your success. Because unpredictability at senior levels is the thing companies fear the most. Because this is what they are thinking in their mind. If we hire a junior person and it doesn't work out, we can let them go. Not a big deal. But if we hire a senior person and it doesn't work out and we have to let them go, that's a credibility issue. That's months of onboarding wasted, team gap, team disruption, leadership issue, maybe a bad exit. And that's why they optimize for not being wrong. By hiring the person whose trajectory is the easiest to explain, by hiring the person who exactly looks like people who have succeeded in that role. This is why so many experienced professionals feel like they are being evaluated on everything except their ability to do the job. Because they are. They are being evaluated on how easy it is to explain you. How familiar does your background feel? How much do you look like the mental model we already have of who succeeds here? And the more textured your experience is, the less you fit that model. So if the market is not selecting for competence, what is it selecting for? It is selecting for three things: clarity, familiarity, and narrative coherence. Let me break this down. Clarity. When someone looks at your resume or your LinkedIn or listens to your 30-second elevator pitch, they should know what you do. Not what you can do, but which box to put you in. Number two, familiarity. The words you use, the companies you refer, the credentials you hold, all sound or feel familiar. You don't want to hit the mental trigger. I don't know how to evaluate this person. Number three, narrative coherence. Your story makes sense. You don't want to be a puzzle they have to solve. You want to be able to tell a story they understand. And none of these are about your actual ability to do the job. These are about making it easy for someone to say yes to you. And most of the experienced professionals get it wrong. They believe that the way to compete is to be more impressive, to show more range, to demonstrate more capability. But that's not how trust works. Trust is built by being easy to categorize, being able to fit into an existing mental model so that your evaluator doesn't have to do the work. So what does that look like in practice? It means if you have worked in 6 different countries, you do not list all 6 on your resume. Rather, pick 1 or 2 that aligns well with Canada and then take it from there. It means if you have held 5 different senior titles, you do not list all. Rather, pick the one that maps with the roles that you are targeting for and then frame everything around it. It means in an interview, you do not explain the entire complexity of your experience. Rather, lead with stories ending with great results that you drove. And finally, you do not over-explain what all you can do. Rather, focus on telling how easy it is to work with you. Now I know that it feels like you are hiding part of yourself or underselling yourself. But you are not underselling. you are being strategic. Visibility is not about being seen for everything that you are, but for one thing that becomes easy for you to place. And once you are in the room, once you are in the organization, once you have taken the role, probably then is the time to show the full capability or caliber of your experience. But you won't get the opportunity before you get that role. You get it by making it easy for someone to say yes to you. So stop signaling depth, start signaling fit, because Canada doesn't hire the person who can do it all, but the person who is the least risk. Your job is not to have a better resume, but to become easier to place. Your job is not to prove you can do the work, but that you won't be a problem. And your job is not to show how much you know, but to show how clearly you fit. And that's a skill. That's something you learn. It's learning how to translate your experience into a language that Canadian market understands. It's learning how to change the narrative that fits into the mental models exist in hiring managers' minds. And it's learning how to reduce the cognitive load someone has to say yes to you. If you don't learn these things, you will end up hitting the same wall. You'll keep being told you are overqualified or somebody else was a better fit. But if you learn these things, you will start become visible because you change how you are being seen. I hope you like this video. Give it a thumbs up if you like it and share it with somebody who might need it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.